All right, welcome to the LMS Show. Give yourselves a big hand. Woo! Now you make some noise. Okay. And we welcome you to the LMS Show from Sisters Uptown Bookstore Cultural Center. This is our residence, okay? All the stars got residents, right? They play when they feel like it. Well, we do support a good cause. We try to help sisters, try to uplift the people in the community. I think it's so important, you know. I remember one time they had an incident where they had I think on Thanksgiving Day, some group of people came together and came as sisters and start feeding start feeding the people in the community. Now you know there's a lot of people who are starving, and you know sometimes they act like big shots with their $200 sneakers and stuff like that, but them folks starving. And we thank people like sisters to open up the door. Here's a young lady, and you're going to see her later on interviewing Mr. Boy. This is my friend. Turn the phone back there, everybody. Okay. This is my friend. A good friend of mine, as I said, my daughter told me, she said, you know something? This lady is a top-notch salesman, and she is. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Cassandra Mary. Give her a big hand.
Thank you so much, Lenny.
I quote her. She said that she's a top-notch salesperson.
Yes, I'm working to be number one.
That's right. And that company.
I am an independent beauty consultant for a
Mm-hmm.
worldwide company.
Yeah, that company. Can't mention any money yet, folks. Later on, Cassandra, you're going to interview a gentleman, right?
Yes, Mr. Malcolm Boyd.
How'd you find Mr. Boyd?
Through you, of course, the great matchmaker over here, and he has a very interesting...
Matchmaker, make me a match.
A very interesting story to tell, and a wonderful publishing company. And I'm going to interview him about someone that we don't really know much about. So another famous person in Black history, an unsung hero. So I want to have him tell his story.
Yeah, the lights are shining. So he played a part in that, right?
Yes.
Big part. Yeah.
And our cell phones that we have, the telephone, he has something to do with that as well.
Oh, you mean that worst invention?
But they diluted it. When it first started out, it was pure.
That's the worst invention. Oh my! Because I rode a bus one time. They sit back here and they tell us. Sometimes that's the only bus company I know. They don't do this on these buses out here. They sit back here. They tell the people, say, "Look, y'all got to knock down them cell phones." And then one lady, she sat back there. We were on the highway. I was out of town. We were on the highway. These people, and he said, "Lady, cut it out." And she went, stopped the darn bus and said, "What did I tell you? You do it one more time, I'm calling the police after you." And guess what happened? She stopped and the bus was silent. Sometimes it's good and it's bad. Sometimes it's hard nonsense on that thing.
Yeah, she said talking too loud where you can hear their entire conversation.
Oh, I don't want to hear what
So
you having
unnecessary.
tonight or who wronged you.
Right.
Anyway,
Too much personal business.
salesman, you shit. Like my daughter said, you the best salesman in town. What does it take to be a salesperson?
First thing is to be teachable and coachable, and it also helps to have a wonderful product to be able to, introduce to people. So I don't call myself a salesperson. I teach skincare and color cosmetics, and I also share a wonderful career opportunity. All I do is present the information, and it's up to you whether or not you like to buy, or if you'd like to come on board.
But you don't push them to get them up against the wall. You got to buy this.
No, that's pushy aggressive sales type, and that is definitely not what we do. So we just do a nice presentation, and half the time before the presentation is over, they already have in mind what they want to get, and they're already asking about stuff, and it's just a wonderful experience. I've been able to meet so many wonderful people in my journey. I just celebrated 12 years.
Give her a big hand. Let me tell you something. A salesperson will never go out of business.
Being in business for yourself.
Yeah, being busy. I mean, they just don't go out of, they don't go out of business. You look at the papers. I don't know about how the newspapers look nowadays, but most of the jobs you see is for salespeople, like reps, like selling them cell phones or they're selling electronics or this and that. And, there's a bunch of salespeople.
Yes, doing direct sales, being in business for yourself, any kind of entrepreneurial job will be able to bring that stream of income because, corporate America has changed and not as stable as it used to be. As you see in the news, Toys R Us.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Toys R Us going out of business?
What is
that? I was like, really? When Pathmark went out of business, I couldn't believe it. So, you have to have an additional stream of income. Find something that you're passionate about.
We're not advertising, but the whole thing about it is that one, and I'm working on this advocate of one must have something on the side.
Always a plan B.
Always a plan B, because I remember like where I was working at, they didn't want you to have even a plan B. A plan A, B, 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 B.
Yeah, it was them.
It was them. And that darn company, and they said, even if you volunteer, say I would come up here and volunteer as sisters, they would sit back here, they want to know about sister, how, what she does this and that, come on. I'll grow up,
Yeah.
And,
like your free time should be your own to do whatever you want. You shouldn't have to be, telling everybody what you need to do.
And I remember the short George Bree had a book called something that's about black people. And that's the only thing, they say that's the only thing left is selling.
Yeah.
That's the only thing left is selling. Nobody can take that away from you. I don't care if you sit back here and sell water on the street. And when the summertime comes in, if you be selling water, they be selling water, hey.
It's great to have a consumable product. That's why you'll never be out of business. If you have something consumable that people need.
And something that repeats. If you get hot out there, you go buy another water.
Yeah. Yep. So that's wonderful, wonderful.
I would like to thank you so much, but then later on, you're going to come in and interview Mr. Boy.
Always a pleasure, Lenny. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, it's always, when I had to check your calendar, I know you be so busy all the time.
Yes.
But I'm so glad that, you're good people. You like part like our little core group here. You always come up. Ladies and gentlemen, Cassandra Murray. Give her a big hand.
Yeah. And welcome back to the LMS Show. Give yourselves a round of applause. And I have here with us today Mr. Malcolm Boyd, and he has a very interesting story to tell. First of all, I'd love to hear just a little bit about your background, where you grew up, just a little brief history, and then we can get right into the meat and the potatoes of it.
How you doing? My name is Malcolm Boyd. I hail from Denver, Colorado. There are black folks out there. I hear that a lot. There's really black folks there? Yeah. There are short ones since I left, but I'm an author, and the written word and history has always been, some of my favorite subjects. And black history particularly, because I've discovered so much about black history, our significant role we played in this country that nobody knows about.
Right.
And it's almost like daily you learn something new. Like really, like like we cross the street, red light, red, and the don't walk sign. That's been about me.
Really.
Very few people know that, And the majority of our inventions are still play a significant part in our lives today, And they were invented hundreds of years ago.
Right, so let's talk about that unsung hero.
Okay, his name is Lewis Latimer.
Okay.
And seeing how that we're in New York, I think is very significant because his house is in Flushing, Queens. And it's now a museum. It's called the Lewis Latimer Museum.
Wonderful.
And it was on, I believe, 149 Holly Street. And they were going to tear it down. And a lot of people in the community came together, and started to find they had his house raised and they moved it to a new location.
Okay.
It's still in Flushing, but it's actually a short street called Latimer Place.
Okay.
And his home is there, and it's a museum now, and it has a lot of his inventions on display. I did a book reading there, as a matter of fact, a couple of weeks ago.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
So, what
yeah.
are two of the inventions that we can give him credit for?
Significant invention would be the light bulb.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people, Thomas Edison invented the light bulb.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But originally, the light bulb was just filled with an ornate gas.
Okay.
And like a candle, once it lit, it would burn for several hours, and that was it.
So
Louis
why did-
Latimer came along, and the little element inside, when you shake it and see if the bulb's
That
any
filament,
good.
yes.
Yeah, Mr. Latimer invented that.
Really?
So you can cut a light on and off, and it lasts days, weeks, months on it.
That's fantastic.
Another invention that maybe not quite so significant today is he invented the toilet system on passenger trains.
Really?
Before he came along, it was a bucket and a hose like an outhouse on a train, and as you ride down the road, it slopped and splashed up.
Oh, that's gross. Thank you, Mr. Latimer, because that was like, oh my
He
God.
actually invented the plumbing system and a reservoir tank, so the waste would go in, it wouldn't splash back up on people, it wouldn't be such a terrible smell.
Okay, so how come we haven't heard about him? How come his inventions weren't protected?
Well, he's a child of escaped slaves,
Okay.
and this country's history. You're lucky we know about him at all.
Wow.
Really?
That is true.
You're lucky we know about him at all. Another invention is Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone.
Okay.
Alexander Graham Bell was a harebrained.
Mm-hmm.
He had pieces and parts of stuff all over the place. And when it came time to the business side of the telephone company, he had to get a patent. Alexander Graham Bell had no idea what to do next. Louis Latimer came along with pad and pencil and drew up the blueprints and actually applied for a U.S. patent himself through Alexander Graham Bell.
Okay.
If it wasn't for him, who knows
No
what the
fun.
telephone would be like today.
Wow.
No formal education, he taught himself,
Okay.
as usual. Could you imagine what this man's mind would have been capable of had he been challenged like in university?
Wow. He would have been doing amazing, amazing things.
So that's that kind of drives me so much of our history, our lost history, our hidden. I shouldn't say hidden. It's really not lost. It's just we're told. I mean, who knows? 100 years in the future, white people be responsible for rap music. I mean, that's that's the path of this country's history.
Yeah, it gets the truth kind of gets covered over and changed a little bit.
It gets it gets convoluted.
altered.
It gets quite convoluted. But that's kind of one of my passions. So, I would suggest everybody go to a Louis Latimer museum. He's responsible for surgical tools, all type of electronic devices, construction tools. The man's mind was incredible. A lot of his inventions are on display there, as a matter of fact.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Did he have any children? Did he ever get married?
Yes, his children kept the house until I believe 1963.
Okay.
And they, gave it up.
Okay.
And that's when they were going to, whoever they sold it to was going to tear it down and build condos. But like I said, the community came together and had it moved. And so it's a significant part of the community, even though a lot of us don't realize that it's there.
Yeah, there's so many things, New York City especially is rich with so much Black history, and unless you're really searching for it, you're really not going to find it because it's not really advertised. That's why I really appreciate Mr. Matthews, because he, opens our eyes and gives us a peek view, and, just remind us, that we are a great people. We have a rich history, and we really need to try to find out about it.
Very much so, and it kind of it takes you back. You have to realize what we actually come from, where we actually come from, compared to what we've been taught, what's been drilled in our head. 'Cause, if I stayed in that square that I was shoved in as a child, all I know is picking cotton and when the chariot swings low, the rest.
Right.
And that's not where we come from.
Right.
We're kings and queens. We invent things and we progress. We progress the human being pure, much less ourselves.
Right.
you take the African out of the human existence,
A lot of stuff will be missing.
a lot. This probably look like the moon, a barren landscape.
Right.
You know, or they're probably sitting in the cave eating the raw bone.
Yeah. Not cool. Not cool. I enjoy my fire. Thank you so much, Malcolm. And we look forward to hearing more about you, yourself, your company, about your books that you have published, and we'll be speaking with you again very shortly.
Okay.
Thank you.
And welcome back to the LMS Show. Wasn't Cassandra great at Mr. Boy? Give him a big hand. Woo! I have a young lady up here with me. What's your name?
I'm Ty. Ty Brown.
Ty Brown. Give her a big hand. LMS Show always love his pretty girls. That's our trademark. The guy said, aren't you going to get some girls? I said, we're going to get some girls. You know, get some young ladies on the show. You know. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Ty Brown.
I'm a native from Harlem. I do project management in my daytime. And I also am a part of an organization which is called The WOOM, which stands for Women of Empowerment. We recently had an event last weekend which is for women of empowerment to pretty much showcase domestic violence and to bring awareness to it. So what I do in my daytime, my goal is to parallel that into the community, make sure that people are aware of the fact that they can build their own community, they can build their own finances, that you don't just have to work your 9 to 5 and enslave for the rest of your life.
And you don't even rely on somebody else, right?
True indeed, true indeed. We all rely on someone else, but the fact of the matter is we can build our own communities and have our own financial wealth besides going outside of the community. So that's what my goal is to teach young people and women how to do that.
How you been succeeding in it?
Absolutely, little by little. I mean,
Yeah, you
people,
can't get it overnight.
No, it doesn't happen overnight because it's all about the mind. It really is the focus on the mindset. And I believe a previous guest that you had before has said the whole fact about being indoctrinated in school and how certain things are not taught and you have to learn it a little bit later on in life. The younger you can actually teach someone about certain things, how to build your financial wealth, the better it is. And you don't have to make so many mistakes and learn it the hard way.
Well, you know, we're in a store with a lot of books. You think books help you out a whole lot too?
Absolutely. Books, doing your own personal research,
Yes.
your own personal development,
Yes.
and it's not just so much of reading the books, it's actually putting what you
put
read
books
into
into
practice.
Yes, that's so
It's
important.
putting into practice, and it's all about spiritual, the mental, everything all into one. So it's not just one particular element that changes anything.
How long the organization that you have? How long you been in existence?
I've been a part of the organization for just a little over a year, but it's been in existence for roughly about 15 years. So we're really looking to do big things with it. We're looking to help women that have gone through certain situations like domestic violence, like I mentioned. We're looking to do food drives. We're also looking to do coat drives, helping people that are homeless, that are part of the community. There's so many different avenues and ways that people need help. So it's not just one particular way. We're looking to do everything that we can in terms of helping people and having it here in the community. Most times when people need help, they go outside of the community. They ask you for an arm and a leg of paperwork. They ask you about this, how much money you make, your income, are you living with other people? And it's exhausting, and it's very defeating because it's a turn on. It's like, I need help for X, Y, and Z. Why do I have to show you this, that, and the third? You really pretty much have to be at a level of destitution, and it's embarrassing for a lot of people. It really is.
All that paperwork and this and that and the other. You got to get this, you got to get that. This, you know.
And it's not just the paperwork; it's the emotional stress that goes along with it too. For some people that are in these situations, they have children. So they not only have to protect themselves, they have to look out for other people that are depending upon them. So whatever their emotional situation is, they can't let that child know what's going on, because it creates an unstable environment for them.
On that note, I'd like to thank you so much. And
Thank
also
you.
too, we would like for you to come back for a future show.
Absolutely, I would love to.
And we have a co-host the show. You like that?
How was it? Would love to. Absolutely, that would be an honor. Thank you. I appreciate that.
See, that's like a piece of cake, right, Cassandra?
There you go.
Hey, see, you with the best team in town, with the LMS Show team, baby. We take care of business here. There'll be no Me Too here. And we thank you so much for watching the LMS Show, and we'll see you soon. And take it down. This is the LMS Extra Show. My name is Lenny Matthews, and Miss Flynn, Leisha Flynn, right? I want to ask you a question. You know, so far they have triangles in at different restaurants now. What are those triangles for?
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. We're talking about the sodium, the high sodium in the fast chain food restaurants. This is the only city, New York City, requires them to put a rectangle with a salt shaker for high sodium foods next to every menu. And that means that whenever you see that little rectangle with a triangle, the salt shaker in it, that means that the food contains 2,300 milligrams of sodium or more. Right? And 2,300 is way beyond what we need. And if people have hypertension, which the majority of people do that eat out and have, history of hypertension, and you should be eating 1,500 if you have hypertension. That menu contains 2,300 milligrams, all right? And the body just cannot really tolerate it, Mr. Matthews. And some people will be going to the emergency rooms the next morning. So it's important that we become aware of it, but it's limited. It's New York City, and it's only limited to restaurants that have 15 chains or more. So you have to be a chain. I could walk into a restaurant and say, "Where's your salt? Let me see the salt check." We don't have to. We only have 3 restaurants. So that's a small amount of restaurants, a small amount of fast food. And we got to do more. I don't accept the little Logan, the little icon with the salt shaker, telling you it's 2,300 or more. I want to know exactly. And everyone here should want to know exactly. And everyone anywhere should know how much sodium is in the food.
I remember I went to a friend of mine, two of my former coworkers went to a restaurant for my retirement, and I won't name the chain. I'll name the chain off the air. They sat back and questioned the waiter, and this guy, this company falls into that category.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they don't have to tell us anything. I think they kind of volunteer at these restaurants, and if it's not part of the 15, the few restaurants that have more than 15 chains, they don't have to tell us what's in it, because it's like, to them, divulging what their secret recipe is, which is to kill the sodium. But, we have to have more control, and what we can do is just know how much sodium is your limit. I think 23 is still too high because it just is so much in so many foods. Limit it to 1,500, especially if you have hypertension.
On that note, I'd like to thank you so much. Okay?
Thank you.
And that's the LMS Extra Show. And my name is Lenny Matthews, and we'll see you soon. We have a roll call leaving today's LMS show. Oh my goodness. We got some beautiful people here to drop by to see LMS. Closing out today. Let's take it all the way down here. Your name, my brother?
Jerry Phillips.
Record producer, right?
That's correct.
Hot record producer. And
Mark Anthony Jenkins.
my brother, what you do?
Inspirational speaker and trainer.
All right, we heard you early in the interviews, right?
Yes.
And
Trisha.
Trisha and
Penny Gamble.
Andy Gamble and
Susan Turner.
Gloria Jackson.
And
Sherry Lee Rockwell.
my Sherry. How you doing, Sherry?
Jillian Lapardo.
And
Mike George.
okay, thank you very much. The reason why I have all these people introduced is because we're going to introduce a young gentleman you heard before at the halftime, and he bad, honey. He bad. Ladies and gentlemen, what is that name? Let's give a big hand to Henry Buckley. Ray! See you soon with more of LMS. Ray! Take it out.
My heart is filled with love. Ooh, girl, I wanna give it to someone. No, not just anybody. You see, I'm not the kind of man. No, girl. If there's a chance that you need me, if there's a chance that you care, I'll set the love in motion, 'cause I've got it all right here. And if you want it, you know you got it. Ooh, you know you got my love. If you want it, come on and get it. Ooh, come get my love. There's no mystery when you give it to someone. No love could be forever if you just understand. If there's a chance you can love me, oh girl, just give me one sign.